चला. नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो. कालपासून आपल्या SSLC बोर्ड परीक्षेला सुरुवात झालेली आहे. काल फर्स्ट लँग्वेजचा पेपर झालेला आहे, मराठीचा आपला. उद्या 30 तारखेला आपला सेकंड लँग्वेज इंग्रजीचा पेपर आहे. तर आपण या दक्षिण महाराष्ट्र शिक्षण मंडळ संचलित मराठी विद्यानिकेतन बेळगाव या आमच्या शाळेतर्फे गेली 3 वर्ष सतत आम्ही ही ऑनलाईन व्याख्यानमाला सुरू केलेली आहे. तर गेल्या 3 वर्षामध्ये आम्हाला बऱ्यापैकी तुमच्याकडून सहकार्य आणि सपोर्ट मिळालेला आहे. तर या अगोदरच्या ज्या व्याख्यानमाला झाल्या तर त्या थोड्याशा परीक्षेच्या पहिल्या आठवड्यामध्ये आम्ही घेतलेल्या होत्या, जेणेकरून विद्यार्थ्यांना चांगल्यातलं चांगलं मार्गदर्शन मिळेल या अनुषंगानं थोडंसं यावर्षी आपल्या एकंदर परीक्षा म्हणजे पूर्वपरीक्षा झाली, त्याच्यानंतर आणखी एक प्रिपेटरी झाली, म्हणजे एक बोर्डाची झाली, एक मुख्याध्यापक संघाची झाली, आणि या 2 बोर्ड परीक्षेच्या आपल्या पूर्वपरीक्षेच्या अनुषंगानं मुलं व्यस्त होती आणि त्याच्यात डिपार्टमेंट कडून आलेल्या कामांच्या मुळे सुद्धा शिक्षकही व्यस्त होते. त्यामुळे आम्ही असा विचार केला की परीक्षेच्या अगोदरच्या आठवड्यात करण्याऐवजी प्रत्येक पेपरच्या अगोदरच्या दिवशी आपण त्या विषयाचं मार्गदर्शन करावं. जसं 28 तारखेला मराठीचा पेपर होता म्हणून 26 तारखेला आम्ही मराठीचं मार्गदर्शन तुम्हाला दिलं आणि जवळजवळ 1800 मुलांनी याच्यामध्ये सहभाग घेतला आणि उत्तमरित्या त्या व्याख्यानाचा लाभ घेतलेला आपल्याला दिसतो. उद्या इंग्रजीचा पेपर आहे म्हणून आज आपल्या 29 तारखेला आम्ही इंग्रजीचं मार्गदर्शन करणार आहोत. तर आमच्या शाळेतील इंग्रजीचे शिक्षक SS लाड सर आज तुम्हाला इंग्रजी विषयाचं मार्गदर्शन करणार आहेत. तर या व्याख्यानमालेचा एकच हेतू आहे की परीक्षेच्या आदल्या दिवशी आपलं माइंड थोडंसं फ्रेश असतं, परीक्षेच्या वातावरणामध्ये आपण असतो आणि उजळणी स्वरूपात की जे महत्वाचे मुद्दे आहेत, जे तुमच्या बोर्ड परीक्षेला अनुषंगानं महत्वाचे आहेत, तर ते तुमच्या कानावरती जावे, त्याचा अभ्यास तुम्हाला व्हावा, हा हेतू ठेवून आम्ही ही व्याख्यानमाला सुरू केलेली आहे. तर आज आपण या ठिकाणी इंग्रजीचं व्याख्यान ऐकणार आहोत. उद्या इंग्रजीचा पेपर होईल, परवा 31 तारखेला आणि 1 तारखेला, म्हणजे 31 मार्च आणि 1 एप्रिल या 2 दिवशी, म्हणजे आपला गणितच्या पेपरला 4 दिवसाचा ब्रेक आहे, पण 31 मार्च आणि 1 एप्रिल या 2 दिवशी आम्ही गणित विषयाचं मार्गदर्शन करणार आहोत. म्हणजे बाकीच्या विषयांचं एक दिवस मार्गदर्शन होईल, पण गणितचं मार्गदर्शन मात्र 2 दिवसांचं होणार आहे आणि ते मार्गदर्शन आपले गणितचे शिक्षक DS मुतकीकर सर करणार आहेत. तर तुम्ही त्याही व्याख्यानाचा लाभ घ्या. पण आता या ठिकाणी आज 29 मार्च 2022 रोजी आज आपण इंग्रजीचं व्याख्यान ऐकणार आहोत. तर मी यापुढची सगळी सूत्र आमचे इंग्रजीचे शिक्षक SS लाड सर यांच्याकडे सोपवितो, तर ते तुम्हाला इंग्रजीचं मार्गदर्शन करतील. धन्यवाद.
Namaskar. Good morning to one and all. My dear students, first of all, we welcome to you. Today, we are happy to give SSLC Vyakyanmala about English language. This Vyakyanmala is organized by our Marathi Vidyaniketan Belgaum, and this Vyakyanmala is inspired by Honorable Sri Subhash Ulkar sir and the School Betterment Committee, Marathi Vidyaniketan Belgaum. Once again, I heartily welcome to you. Tomorrow, our English paper is there. So, today we are going to discuss about some points regarding the prose, regarding poetry, regarding supplementary reading, and other grammatical parts as well as composition. Now let's start our English session. At first, we are going to discuss about the design of a question paper. There are total 38 questions are there. There are 30 questions are there. And now here we move to our blackboard. At first we are going to discuss about that is the design of the question paper. And now we move to our blackboard. Here, look at the blackboard. At first, you know already in our question paper, tomorrow's question papers will get that design will get. Question number 1, there are 4 multiple choice question, and that 4 multiple choice question regarding to the grammar section. Maybe it will come question tag or that is if clause or conditional clause. Sometimes they will give that's the question framing the questions. So many topics are there. So regarding to this, the grammar section, each question carries 1 marks, and there are the 4 multiple choice question, means 4 into 1 is equal to 4 marks. Then do as a directed. This section is also regarding to our grammar. According to that instruction, you can solve that problems. In this section, question number 2, do as a directed, there are 12 questions. Each question carries 1 marks, and according to the instruction, you can solve that. Next question is that is edit the paragraph. They will give 1 paragraph, small paragraph, 2 line, 3 sentences paragraph, and they will give also some clues. For example, plural form to be used, singular form to be used, verbal mistake to be corrected, punctuation marks to be used, capital letter to be used, apostrophe to be used. They will make mistake in your paragraph, and you read that the paragraph, you should read that paragraph carefully, and you should find out that the mistake or the error in that the paragraph, and according to that instructions, according to that the clues, you go there and you construct it and rewrite that the same paragraph. That question, edit the paragraph, that question carries 2 marks. Then question number 4, answer the questions in 2 or 3 sentences. In our question paper, we'll get the 7 questions, and each question carries 2 marks. It means that 7 into 2, the 14 marks you have. Then the question number 5, answer the questions in a 5 or 6 sentences each. They'll ask 2 questions, and each question carries 3 marks. Means 3 into 2 is equal to 6 marks you will get. Question number 6, extracts. They'll give 4 extracts. Each extract carries 4 marks. That's a 3 marks. You have the 4 questions. Means 4 into 12. There are the 4 into 3 is equal to, that is a 12 marks you will get. Then we come to this point, that is the profile writing. They will give particular profile writing, and you can write that profile writing in your own words. Here also 1 profile they will give, and you have get that is the 3 marks. Story writing, question number 8, story writing. They will give some hints or the outline, and with the help of this outline, with the help of the hints, you should develop the story, and that story writing carries 3 marks. You can solve yourselves. Then next question, question number 9, picture description. They will give one picture, small picture. You can read, you can observe that picture carefully, and you can make up one small paragraph while using your own words or own language. Then the quote from memory. This section carries 4 marks. Means you have such a poems like Quality of Mercy or the Blind Boy. You should recite that the poem. You will get 4 marks. Next, the unseen passage. That unseen passage carries 4 marks. They will give the unseen passage, unknown passage. You don't know about that earlier. Such a passage they will give, and sometimes they will give 4 questions. Sometimes they will give 2 marks questions. 2 marks questions. So here that is the unseen passage they will give. Next one is that question number 12. Answer the following questions in 8 or 10 sentences. Here also you will get that's 4 marks. You can write 1 question, and that question also carries 4 marks. Next here, question number that is 13, essay writing. In your examination, they will give the 3 essays, and you should attempt only 1 essay out of the 3, and that essay writing carries that's 4 marks. And next, last one is that question number 14, letter writing. Maybe they will give that's a formal as well as informal. Both questions they will give. You can choose either formal or informal letter. This section also carries 5 marks. So here, total there are the 38 questions in your question paper. It is a design of our question paper. Now we let's do the prose section, prose, poetry and supplementary section. So now we turn to the prose and poetry section. Now we are going to discuss about the prose section. Some important questions now we are going to learn. In prose sections, we have so many prose like a hero. Second lesson is that there is a girl by the tracks. Third lesson is that gentleman of Rio and Medio. Fourth one is that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Fifth one is that the concert, and sixth one is that colors of silence. There are the 6 lessons for prescribe you. Now here we turn to the poetry section. Grandma climbs a tree. Next poem, that's a Quality of Mercy. Next poem, that is I Am the Land. Next one is that the Song of India. Next poem, Jazz Poem 2. Next poem, that is the Blind Boy. There are poems for you. It is important parts. Next, so now we turn to the supplement reading. First supplement reading, that is a Narayanpur incident. Second supplement reading, that is on top of the world. And third one is that a great martyr ever cherished. After that, we are going to discuss about the grammar and compositions. What are the grammar and composition? The first one is that question tag. Next one is that language function to infinitive, framing the questions. Remove to, it means that use so that. If clause or conditional clause. Collocative words, form of the word, form of the verb, identify the parts of speech, linkers, it's known as, that is a conjunction, prepositions, use the word as a verb or noun. Next one is that degrees of comparison. Next, that is a voice, reported speech, one word for sentence, prefix and suffixes, syllabification, edit the paragraph. There are so many grammatical units in a grammar section. Now I am going to discuss about that the compositions. First composition is that is the profile writing. Profile writing means that's a small biodata about that any person. Next composition is that is a story writing. They will give some hints or outline, and with the help of this outline, we should develop that the story. Story is always in a past tense. You can write your story in your past tense. Next here, that is a picture description. You should observe the picture, given picture. You should collect some words regarding to your picture in your mind, and you construct small sentences, and you should develop that the particular paragraph or create paragraph. Next one is that unseen passage. Yes, they will give unseen passage. You can read carefully that unseen passage, and on that the unseen passage they will ask two marks, two questions, either two marks questions, or that is a 1 marks questions. They will ask 4 questions. Next, essay writing. Yes, in your examination they will ask the essays, 3 essays. Later will discuss about that the what are the essays. Next, that's a letter writing. Maybe that's a formal or informal. They will ask 2 letters. Either you can write formal letter or that's a informal letter. It is a all are the composition section. Now we are going to discuss about a prose. Prose is a very important for you. You will get so many marks in a prose section. So first prose, now we are going to discuss a hero, which is written by R.K. Narayan. In this lesson, so many characters are there. At first, now we are going to discuss about the characters. First character is Swami. Second character is Swami's father. Third character is that is Swami's mother. And fourth character is Swami's grandma or granny. At first, little bit we are going to discuss about the Swami. Who was a Swami? Swami was a discourageous boy. He was afraid of a darkness. He had a habit of sleeping beside his granny. He was studying in a second form. it was a little bit informations about that the Swami. Now we are going to discuss about the second character, Swami's father. Swami's father was a strict disciplinarian. His intention was a different. He wanted to develop his bravery act, or he felt that Swami would be a courageous boy. So that's why one day he challenged to our Swami to sleep alone in an office room and to show his courage. It means that Swami's father was a disciplinarian, strict person. It is a little bit introductions about the Swami's father. Now we turn to the Swami's mother. Swami's mother was a caretaker, supportive, protective for our Swami. And then now we turn to our the next character, Swami's granny. Swami's granny was also like a Swami's mother. She was also protective. She was also supporter, good supporter. And another most important informations about that the grannies, Swami's granny, that is she was a good storyteller. It is a little bit introductions about that Swami. Now we are going to discuss about Swami's outline of this story, a hero. Swami became a hero coincidentally. One day what happened? Swami's father was engaged in reading a newspaper, and in that the newspaper one news came about that the bravery act of a village lad, village boy. And now here that the village boy who that village boy fought with a tiger and at last killed. Such a the bravery act or bravery act of that the village boy came in that the newspaper, and now he was reading, his father was reading that news loudly, and in front of Swami's father, Swami was sitting, and he was a good listener. He was listening that the news, whatever he had read. Swami's father read. And then but the year Swami felt that this news was not a real news, maybe untrue, maybe that's false news, false. And then the year Swami's father put a challenge, and he said that to show the courage like that the village boy. But the Swami disputed when the father made the statement, courage is everything, strength and age are not important. When the year, now we are going to discuss about that the two approaches. Courage is a very important according to the Swami's father. But according to that the Swami, courage is not important, but the strength and the age are important. And then the year, at last he challenged to that the our Swami to sleep alone in his office room. Swami's father's office room was a dark office room. One side he told that Outwardly he said that yes, he was ready to sleep alone in his office room, but inwardly he was not ready to sleep alone in his office room. At last, he accepted the challenge by the Swami. And then the year, one night, Swami slept alone in his office room. And that office room was a dark office room. And then the year when he slept under that the bench, there Swami remembered all the stories of devils and the ghosts he had heard earlier. He had heard also the different kinds of the sounds like ticking of clock, rustle of leaves, snoring sounds, insects, humming insects. He was totally afraid. He was alone there. Nobody was there. Earlier, he had an habit to sleep alone in his beside his granny, but now he was alone. Swami slept under the bench because, according to him, it was a safer place and more compact and reassuring. Swami was afraid, totally afraid. He remembered all the stories of the ghosts and the devils. Swami had a dreadful experience when he was lying under the bench, and one moving creature was there. He felt that maybe it was a devil, but at last Swami found that when he caught to that the moving creature, and he realized himself that the moving creature was not a devil's or the ghost, but it was a burglar. And now here he beat him, and when he beat him, now he that burglar was a that's a cried loudly, "Ayo, something has beaten me." That burglar shouted loudly, and his father, the servant, came and they caught to our the burglar. That burglar was a notorious housebreakers of the district. Most wanted burglar was there, and at last he caught. After that, the congratulations were shown on Swami, and Swami's classmate, his teachers, the headmasters showed that the congratulations to him. His classmate looked at him with respect. His teacher patted his back. Headmaster said that he was a true scout. And according to the police department also, they also congratulate to our the Swami. Why? Because that burglar was a notorious housebreakers of the district. And at last, Swami became a hero at one night. When the police department, asked, that's a that's inspector, asked to that our Swami, why don't you join the police when you are grown up? At first, yes, he was ready to join at first, but his aim was different. Earlier aim was like to become an engine driver, conductor, or railway guard. Then the year again Swami slept that night earlier. His father sleeping, or he noticed that in the next day, Swami went and slept again beside that the granny. And at last, Swami relieved at that the night also. It is a outline of this story. This story is written by the R.K. Narayan. Now we are going to discuss about that the question. This lesson is a very important for you. Maybe they will ask 2 mark questions, 3 mark questions, or that's a 4 mark question, sometimes extract also. So that's why you should study in a many sided. I will highlight some questions about that. The question number 1, a report about a boy in the newspaper was an unexpected event in a Swami's life. Justify. They will ask. Sometimes they will ask, what desperate attempt did Swami make to escape from his father? Sometimes they will ask, there was absolute silence in the room. In spite of it, some noises reached Swami's ears. What were they? They will ask. And the most important questions for you, that question is repeated again and again. Narrate Swami's dreadful experience when he was lying under the bench. That question is repeated again and again, so that's why you concentrate on that question. They will ask. Now I will discuss about that the 2 mark questions, like why were congratulations showered on Swami? Sometimes they will ask, Swami's father drew his attention to report in the newspaper. What was the report about? Already we have discussed. Then, what was the aim or earlier dream of a Swami? They will ask. You should concentrate on that the 2 mark question. Now we turn to that the extracts. Some extracts are also very important. Like, it is a disgraceful sleeping beside the granny or mother. Sometimes, next, that is a RC or that is a extract. I have something as a beaten me. That extract is also very important. Next extract, leave alone strength. Can you prove you have a courage? Next extract, congratulations were showered on Swami next day. They will ask. Such as the extracts they will ask in your question paper. And the last 4 mark questions may be a report about a boy in a newspaper was an unexpected event in Swami's life. Justify. Another question, narrate Swami's dreadful experience when he was lying under the bench. Such are the questions they will ask in your examination. Now here we turn to the next lesson. Lesson's name is that there is a girl by the tracks, which is written by Devan Kalan. In this story, there are so many major characters like Baleshwar Mishra, Roma Talreja, tempo truck driver, and Dinesh Talreja. There are 4 major characters. This lesson is a very important for your examinations for extract. Most of the extract you should concentrate on more extract. In this lesson, there is a girl by the tracks. Now we are going to discuss about that some extracts. What are the extracts? That extracts are very important here. There is a girl by the tracks. Extract number 1. There is a girl by the tracks. The voices cried out. You concentrate on this extract. Next extract. Please help me to take her to hospital. Already we know that the Baleshwar pleaded again and again to that the motorist, and please help me to take her to hospital. You know that what was the condition of Roma Talreja, and how did tempo truck driver help to that the Roma Talreja to take her to that the hospital. What was the role of the Baleshwar Mishra in the life of Roma Talreja? Baleshwar Mishra saved her life. Both were unknown to each other. Everything you know that. And so here, he concentrated on that extract. Please help me to take her to hospital. Next extract is that, Chacha, can I borrow your mobile? That this extract is also very important. Next one is that, next extract, take the girl to Airoli, suggested the cop. Take the girl to Airoli, suggested the cop. Next extract is a very important. Oh, I couldn't thank him, Baleshwar thought. Oh, I couldn't thank him, Baleshwar thought. Next extract also, I think it is an astonishing thing that the stranger jumped off of a train and risked his life for me. That extract also you should concentrate on it. Next one is that, let's go and help her. This extract is also very important. And so you should concentrate on the extract, and 2 mark questions also. 2 marks questions also. Like, what did Baleshwar request motorist? What was the result? Sometimes they will ask that questions. Why did the people of Mumbai were afraid? That question is also very important. Or how did Baleshwar Mishra save her life? They will ask. Another questions they will ask, how did tempo truck driver help to Baleshwar Mishra to take her to hospital? So sometimes they will ask, Baleshwar had a good memory. Explain or justify. Such other questions are also very important for you. You can read this lesson carefully. Now we turn to the next lesson. Lesson's name is that, gentlemen of Rio and Medio. This lesson is written by well-known story writer. Writer's name is that John A. Sedillo. In this lesson also, there are major characters like Don Anselmo, Americans, John A. Sedillo. There are the three major characters are mentioned in it. Who was a Don Anselmo? Don Anselmo was a land seller. Who was Americans? American was a land buyer. Who was a John A. Sedillo? Was a middleman agent. He was an advocate by profession, lawyer by his profession. There was a transaction between seller and the buyer, land seller and the buyer. Don Anselmo was a good person, respected person. He was a man of principle in his village. They are the good person. Americans were a good person. Buna again. And his role was that John means storytellers. Role is that story writers. Role is that as a middleman or agent. One day what happened? Don Anselmo sold his land to Americans. That land was 8 acres. That 8-acre land for $1,200. But John A. Sedillo sent a surveyor to measure that the land, and they found that surveyor found that his land was a double across the river. Such a information was given by John A. Sedillo to that Don Anselmo. His land was a double. So the Americans were ready to give a double amount, means $24. But Don Anselmo was not ready to take the extra amount for that extra land. Americans were insisted again and again to take that the extra amount for that extra land, but he was not ready. Why? Because he was a man of principle. In your examination, they will ask one questions about that. How can you say that Don Anselmo was a man of principle? They will ask one questions on it. So you can read this lesson carefully. You will get an idea. What was his land? What was his orchard? What was his behavior? What was his physical appearance of Don Anselmo? Americans came back to the writer's office with a complaint. You know that the children of Rio and Medio were overrunning their property. There are the two reasons. With that complaint, two complaints are there. The first complaint is that the children of Rio and Medio were overrunning their property, and the second complaint is that they came every day and played under the trees, built the little play fences around them and took a blossom. They came with that the complaint. His approach was different. Don Anselmo's approach was different. He told to that the Americans, I sold my land or his land, his orchard, everything to the Americans, but he did not sell his trees. Why? Because his intention was different. That trees were belong to that the children of Rio and Medio. His innumerable kings. Means here everything was belong to that his relatives. Everything means his approach was different. So this lesson is a very important for 2 mark questions and the RC also. that earth seeds are like that. At first, now we are going to discuss about the earthy or extract. Finally, I broached the subject. It is one extract or that earthy. Earthy means reference to context. Second one is that it took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. Next one is that these Americans, they are good people. They are willing to pay you for the additional land as well. Then I argued with him, but it was useless. Such the RCs are there. You can read our lesson properly. You will get the all RCs. Now we are going to discuss about the 2-mark questions. The 2-mark questions are very important here. Describe physical appearance of a Don Anselmo. Next question. What was the complaint of Americans? That complaint was given by the Americans to John A. Sedillo. Don Anselmo was a next question. Maybe they will ask. Don Anselmo was passionate about his land and the children of Rio and Medio. Then another questions they will ask about it. How do you say that Don Anselmo was a man of principle? They will ask such a questions, so that's why you can read that questions properly. Now we turn to the next lesson. Lesson's name is that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, which is written by Sri R. Venkatraman. In your examination, they will ask one questions about that. 2-mark questions they will ask. Sometimes 3 marks questions they will ask. So that's why you prepare that questions about that. The questions are like, how can you say that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a voracious reader? Already we know that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar spent most of his life by reading books. When he was in New York, Ambedkar purchased about 2,000 old books. He bought books by curtailing his daily needs. At the time of a second round table conference in London, he bought many books and sent to India in 32 boxes. That question is also very important. How can you say that he was a voracious reader? Another question is also very important for you. How did the 14th Amendment to the US Constitution and Mahatma Phule on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? What happened when he was in USA? In the USA, he was drawn the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of India, which gave the freedom to the black Americans. And so that's why same situation, parallel situation was in our India also. Same condition was happen in the life of the depressed classes. Such a situation was in our India. And so that's why when he became the chairman of the drafting committee, and maybe he decided himself, if he want to say that we should mention some rules and regulations in our constitution. So his view was different, his thought was different. He wanted to improve the position of the depressed classes, untouchability, backward classes. In those days, the work of Mahatma Phule was very important. He was also tried to improve that classless society as well as the women's uplift. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was greatly influenced by the life and the work of Mahatma Phule. After that, he started so many newspapers only and only for that the depressed classes like Mukanayak, Bhaishkur Bharat, Samta. After that, he set up an institutions like Hitkari Sabha, Independent Labour Party of India. In those days, the role of Mahatma Gandhi was very important. He was also very much influenced. After that, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was elected to the Bombay Legislative Assembly in the election under the Constitution of India Act 1935. In those days, and at last he became the chairman of the drafting committee of Constitution Assembly. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a pilot of various provisions of the Indian Constitution. He mentioned in an Indian Constitution or India's Constitution is based on the three pillars. The three pillars are very important, like a legislature, executive and judiciary. And in those days, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister of our India, chose Dr. Ambedkar as the first law minister of independent India. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar always stressed the importance of educational method to achieve the social objectives, like to bring equality among the people, to improve the backward classes, backward society. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar wanted to improve that society, and so that's why he had taken one tool, that is a constitutional method. Once Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar described the civil disobedience, non-cooperation and satyagraha as a grammar of anarchy. He had given the position and the powers of the three organs of the states, like a legislature, executive and the judiciary. He had given the power and position of that. In those days, what was the role of that? What was the opinion of that Gautam Buddha and the Tamil poetess Avai about that the society, about that the division? According to the Lord Gautam Buddha, he said that about that the caste distinction or the caste division, only the valid divisions are between those who are the noble and wholesome and those who are the ignoble and the unwholesome. That thought was given by Lord Gautam Buddha. He wanted to remove that class distinction from our society. Next philosopher, that is the Tamil poetess Avai. What was the opinion about the Tamil poetess Avai about that the caste or caste distinction? According to her, there are only two castes in the world, namely the charitable, who give and our superior, and the miser, who do not and are therefore the inferior. Such as the thoughts are given in it. In those days, Mahatma Gandhiji stressed what are the duties of the higher classes, and the Babasaheb Ambedkar also stressed the inherent rights. Means one person is highlighted or the stress the what are the duties, and another person like Baba Sahib Ambedkar stress the inherent rights. And at last, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar passed in December 1956. After his death, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was describing in a Lok Sabha about that the Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar as a symbol of revolt. Maybe they will ask one questions on it. Why did Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru called him as a symbol of revolt? They will ask one questions on it. Another question maybe they will ask about that Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar became a prominent champion of the oppressed and depressed in India. Justify. They will ask such the questions. You should concentrate on all the questions answer. Like first question, you know that Ambedkar had a great thirst for books when he was a student, explain. Or in another words, how can you say that Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a voracious reader? Next question, how did 14th Amendment to the US Constitution and Mahatma Phule influence on Ambedkar? Next one is that write a short note. Dr. Ambedkar's idea or prescription of the three pillars of the states. What are the significant observation of Dr. Ambedkar on the Constitution? Next question, how did Dr. Ambedkar and Mahatma Phule try to wipe out the caste discrimination from India? Such are the questions they will ask. So that's why you concentrate on the question. Now we turn to the next lesson. Lesson's name is that the concert. This lesson is written by the Shanta Rameshwara. The present lesson, the concert tells us about that the Anand who had suffered from that cancer. In this lesson, there are the two major characters. The first major characters, that is a Smita. Second character is that is a Anand. And other characters are that is a minor characters. Like Sushila, Pandit Ravi Shankar, Ustad Al-Laraka, Mustache Man, all characters are there. The first major character, that is a Smita. Who was a Smita? Smita was a 14 years old girl's sister of Anand. Who was Anand? Anand was a brother of Smita, 15 years old, the best table tennis player in the school and the fastest runner. There are the two major characters and other four minor characters like Sushila. Who was Sushila? Sushila was a Smita's aunt who lived in Bombay. Next one is that Smita's mother. Next character is a Pandit Ravi Shankar, who was a Pandit Ravi Shankar, Indian musician, composer and sitar player. Already you know that, you have learned that. Number 6, that's Ustad Al-Laraka, an Indian tabla player. And the mustache man, who had given the boring speech in his lesson. Already you know that. What was the condition of that? The Anand was suffered from that cancer. And already you know that in those days cancer is a cancer. And one day what happened, Smita was reading a newspaper and loudly about that the Pandit Ravi Shankar is playing at a Shanmukhanand auditorium. And his brother's conditions, her brother's condition was like that, very horrible. His condition was like that's a bedridden condition. He was lying on his bed. It was impossible to wake up for our the Anand. And now here he needed a rest according to her mother. But she was more excited and she was reading that the news about that the Pandit Ravi Shankar is playing at a Shanmukhanand auditorium. When he had heard that the news, he was also more excited. But it was impossible for Anand to go there and to attend that the concert at Shanmukhanand auditorium. Smita had known about that the frightening truth that the Anand was going to die. Anand and his family came to Bombay from that the Gaganpur. Gaganpur was his native place. They came from Gaganpur to Bombay for his treatment and they stayed at Sushila Aunt's apartment. And the doctor, according to doctor, it was impossible to recover from his disease, horrible disease, that is a cancer. Smita had known that the frightening truth that Anand was going to die. Whenever Anand finally came to Bombay, they stay with that Aunt Sushila. Anand had astonished, means that there are so many, he was a talented boy. They'll ask one question in your examination, how can you say that Anand was a talented boy? Yes, you will get that answer. He was a sitar player. He was a tune composer, composing his own tunes, astonished for his guru. He was a best table tennis player in the school and the fastest runner. You can write its answer. Anand's parents had come with high hopes in the miracles of modern science. But the doctors at the cancer hospital in Bombay told to them, take him home and give him the things that to likes the indulge him. Smita and her family came to Bombay that Anand would cure at the cancer hospital, but it was impossible according to that the doctor. And now here, one side she was very happy, but other side she was not happy. She was also fond of the music, he was also fond of the music, and now here Pandit Ravi Shankar came to that Bombay at the Shanmukhanand auditorium. They were going to play their concert at Shanmukhanand auditorium. But at first she was not ready to go to that the Pandit Ravi Shankar's concert. Why? Because Anand was not there. Whatever they had done, they had done together. And so at first she was not ready to go there. And suddenly what happened? Daring thought came to the Smita. It was a requesting Pandit Ravi Shankar to play the music for Anand. And she was attended. Now the Pandit Ravi Shankar's concert was going there at Shanmukhanand auditorium. The audience respected the great master Pandit Ravi Shankar by the standing ovation. And after that that concert was going on. And then the year after that the concert, she went towards that Pandit Ravi Shankar. She requested to Pandit Ravi Shankar to come to her home and to play for our Anand. And at last, Pandit Ravi Shankar and tabla player, that is Ustad Allah Rakha, they were ready to visit their house. and at last they visited and they played for that only and only for boys. So here, after hearing that the music, he was not alive. He is he was died after listening that the music, and that music was a or the concert was given by or played by Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka for that the boy. The end of the story was a sad, unhappy end. So it is a outline of the story. So in your examination they will ask that the questions about that the concert. So many questions they will ask like that. 2 mark questions are there. Why was Smita excited when she read the newspaper? They'll ask one questions on it. Another maybe there will be questions. Why had Smita and a family come to Bombay? Then next question is that they had come with high hopes. What hopes did Anand's parents have? Next, how did Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka keep their promise to Smita? Such are the questions they will ask. 2 mark questions they will ask about that. Some RCs are there, reference to contacts or extracts. Like, we mustn't miss the chance. This RC is also very important. They did not voice their fears. This RC is also very important. Then, Panditji is a busy man. You must not bother him with such a request. Such are the questions, such are the RCs, extracts are very important for you. So you can prepare yourselves that the RCs or the extracts. Now we turn to the next lesson. Lesson's name is that Colors of Silence. This lesson is adopted from National Book Trust of India. What is the National Book Trust of India? It is a publishing house of India which is established in 1956. The present lesson tells us about that the life history of Satish Gujral. Who was Satish Gujral? Satish Gujral was a younger brother of Inder Kumar Gujral. Who was Inder Kumar Gujral? Inder Kumar Gujral was a former Prime Minister of India. He became well-known artist in India. He was also suffered from one problem of hearing. He became a deep after that the accident. That accident was a happen. That accident was a happen. At the Kashmir, when they went to Kashmir on holiday with his father and brother Inder Gujral, there he met with an accident. Then there were crossing the rickety bridge over some rapids. The boy stood and looked at that swirling water, and Satish when the Satish pointed to that the in there about that the rushing water, swirling water, and suddenly what happened? Satish Gujral's foot slipped up from that the rickety bridge and he was losing his balance and he fell into that the rapids. His screams were lost in the rushing sounds of the water. His head hurt badly. He was injured badly and he had suffered from that the bouts of fever and the infection and especially of the ears. And after that he became that silent. The title also, the colors of silence. His life became that so colorful. But the other side, he became a silent, he became a deep. His world was a silent world. What was his father's role? What was his brother's role? Their role was very important in the life of that Satish Gujral. They helped in various ways. They taught, they gave books, ample of the books. His brother taught him how to pronounce, how to say the words. Everything he had given. At first, Satish's father's attitude was a different. His attitude was like that to read more and more books. But that attitude was changed after that. And instead of giving the reading, giving the books, different types of book, and he gave the full of the pens, brushes of the shapes and the sizes and several of the rolls of drawing assets. And at last, Satish became not only an artist or the painter or architect or the sculpture, but also he became that's a writer. His painting were exhibited in various museums like Museum of Modern Art in New York, Hiroshima Collection, Washington, the National Gallery of Modern Art, New Delhi. He has also published his books of the in various arts, and he was awarded. He was awarded the Order of the Crown for the best architecture design of the 20th century for his design of Belgium Embassy in New Delhi. He has also honored with the Padma Vibhushan. That Padma Vibhushan was given by the government of India. It was a prestigious award he got. Means he became the well-known artist in India. And his life of achievement is ample proof that the physical disability is no barrier to success. This line is a very important. He proved that. Satish Gujral proved this line: physical disability is no barrier to success. So here, this lesson is also very important. You read more and more. You should concentrate more and more. Paragraph number 8, paragraph number 22, paragraph number 36, and paragraph number 37 and 35. You should read that paragraph carefully. Maybe they will ask that the questions. Sometimes they will ask 2 more questions and RC also reference to context. How did Satish meet with an accident? Or how did the beautiful bird inspire the Satish? Or write a short note on the achievements of Satish Gujral. They will ask such the questions on it. Some RCs also very important. The silence was a vast, everything seems like scenes from the some pantomime show. You will have to look for a new school, his father said. This is the school for normal boys. Why don't you take your son to the school for deep and dumb children? Such are the questions they will ask in your examination. Now we turn to the poetry section. The first poem is also very important. The Grandma Climbs a Tree, which is written by the Ruskin Bond. This poem is a very important for your 4-mark question. It is compulsory questions. You can read that. You should prepare that. The 4-mark questions they will ask. Write a brief summary of Grandma Climbs a Tree. They will ask such the questions, compulsory questions, 4-mark questions. Definitely 100% these questions will come in your examination. You should prepare carefully that question, Grandma Climbs a Tree. I will focus on that some hints about that the Grandma Climbs a Tree. It is a descriptive poem. This poem shows us Ruskin Bond's great ability to enjoy unusual events and the actions. It is about the old woman sustaining the childish habit and the desire. Ruskin Bond tells us about his own grandma, who was a genius. Why she was a genius? Because she could climb a tree, spreading an artery. Grandma climbed a tree at the age of 62 years old. The grandma was happier on a tree than the lift. And one day what happened? She could climb the tree, but he could not return. And so that's why the family member took care about that our grandma. A quiet week means what happened after that? That's a doctor came and took a temperature, and doctor suggested to our grandma to take a bed rest. But that bed rest or that bed, she felt that like a hell. The neighbors also told the grandma to stop a climbing tree because they wanted her to grow old gracefully. Grandma was taught climbing a trees by her loving brother at the age of the 6 years old. Doctor took temperature and suggested quite an week bed. The family members sighed with relief. She was well, according to doctor. After that, our poet's family member took to take care. After that, grandma's wish was there, desire was there. Our poet is highlighted about that grandma's desire. What was the desire? My dad knew his duties. His duty was to fulfill the granny's desire. Finally, the granny appeared her right to reside in a tree top house, and she lived there. She stayed there on the top of the tree. And she ordered, yes, to build a new house on the top of the tree. And his father, poet's father, built that a house on the top of the tree. And now yes, she was very happy and she lived there. Such a little bit I will highlight on that the points so you can prepare well in your examination. This question is a very important for 4 marks, compulsory questions, so that's why you recite that. Now we turn to that the next poem, Quality of Mercy. This poem is written by the William Shakespeare. You have the 2 poems for memorization. The first poem is that Quality of Mercy, and second poem is that is the Blind Boy. You can recite one of them, you can memorize one of them carefully with punctuation marks. You go with punctuation marks and you can write in your examination. In your examination, under the question, quote from memory. While writing that questions, you will get the 4 marks. So one of them, either you can recite Quality of Mercy or that is a Blind Boy. You can recite that. Now we concentrate on that I am the land. This poem is written by the Marina de Bellagent. This poem is a very simple, very simple. The speaker is that our land. The present poem I am the land, written by the Marina de Bellagent, tells us about the patience of the land. Why? Because the year patience, the man, according to the man is the superior on this earth according to man, but actually or in reality, no one can superior, no one can inferior on this land. All are equal. For his selfish attitude, he was digging the ground, and that violation was created by that our man for his own benefits. But one day what happened? That land challenge to the man, and that challenge was mentioned in capital letters. And this line is a very important. You cannot put a fence around the planet Earth. This line shows us about the self-assertion. Means it is impossible to you to put a fence around the planet. Means you have also limitations. At last, that challenge is given by the land to that our human being. So maybe they will ask the questions for that RC, reference to context. So you concentrate on the reference for that reference to context. Sometimes they will ask summary 4 mark questions. I am the land. Next, the Song of India. This poem is written by that the V.K. Gokak. The present poem is in the form of dialogue between the poet V.K. Gokak and the Mother India. In this poem, there are the 2 speakers. The first speaker is that there is a poet V.K. Gokak, and second speaker is that Mother India. The poet wants to sing a song about the beauty of the snowborn peaks of Himalayas, 3 oceans, or the clear dawn. But the Mother India says to the poet to sing a song about the condition of beggars, or the condition of the lepers, or the fields, or the dirt. At last, she was nervous. She was not ready with the poet's view. And at last, our Mother India wrote the Book of Morrow. And she wrote the future Book of Morrow, means that's a future of India. This is a lengthy poem. You can read. Maybe they will ask for that the long question, broad question, maybe summary of that Song of India. They will ask in your examination. Next one is that Jazz poem 2, Carl Wendelin Jr. This poem is also very important. It is also a descriptive poem. The jazz player is compared to the ancient mariner. Why? Because the jazz player is a pathetic figure, like a ancient mariner. This character is taken from that the S.T. Coleridge book's name is that the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. In this poem, the poet Carl Wendelin Jr. has given the descriptions about that the or physical appearance of a jazz player. Jazz player is our character in this poem. Jazz player was full of the wearies of playing. He was bored, totally bored about his life. He was totally bored about his life. His frayed collar, faded blue old shirt he put on. His stomach was a sagging stomach. Jazz player has sent to that the earth to preach the gospel of the jazz. Everything is a mention in it. So this poem is also very important for that the broad question, long questions. So you should concentrate on it. Now the blind boy. Next poem is that blind boy, which is written by the Kali Subba. This poem is also for memorization. You recite either you should recite Quality of Mercy or the blind boy. One of them you can write in your examination. Definitely it will come. Now, in short, I will summarize about that the poetry section. First, grandma climbs a tree. You can read carefully. 4 more questions they will get. Definitely 100% they will get. They will ask that the question. Second poem, that's a Quality of Mercy for memorization. I am the land. Either they will ask RC refers to context or that the broad question, 4 more questions. Song of India, maybe they'll ask, you should recite the summary, you should prepare the summary of I am the land, summary of the Song of India, Jazz poem 2, and yes, okay. And the Grandma Climbs a Tree. You should prepare that 4 summaries. Prepare well. You should prepare well about that summaries. First one is that Grandma Climbs a Tree. 100% it will come. You should prepare the summary of I am the land. Next poem, that is Song of India, and summary of Jazz poem 2. You should prepare, you will get, that's a 4 marks. And the blind boy, either you can recite the blind boy or that the Jazz poem, that's a Quality of Mercy. Now we turn to that supplementary reading question section. While solving that the questions, you will get the 4 marks supplementary reading. They will ask 4 marks. Supplementary reading carries 4 marks. You have 3 lessons. The first lesson is that Narayanpur incident. Second lesson is that a great martyr ever cherished. And the last lesson is that the on top of the world. They will ask, suppose Narayanpur incident, they will ask questions. They will ask questions. Either they will ask lesson or lesson. Question or question, they will select any lesson. Suppose the Narayanpur incident. In that the Narayanpur incident, they will ask question or question. It's the first question. Second question, they will ask lesson. Greater martyr questions. A great martyr cherish, or that is they will ask that on top of the world. What it may be, they will ask. So that's why you should prepare like that. Now at first we'll concentrate of Narayanpur incident, which is written by the Shashi Deshpande. Introduction of the character in this lesson. There are 5 characters, major 5 characters. The first character is that Mohan. Second character is that Babu. Third character is the Manju. Fourth one is that mother of Mohan. And fifth character is that's Suman. Mohan, who was a Mohan, elder son of the teacher. His age was 15 years old. Babu, the younger son of teacher, his age was 13 years old. Manju, daughter of teacher, his age was 11 years old. Fourth one is that mother of Mohan, and Suman, college friend of Mohan. It is a little bit introduction of the that's all characters. Now a teacher. What is the outline of this story? A teacher, a follower of Mahatma Gandhi ji, has arrested by the British. And here in those days, such the march was going on against the British. The students were gathered there and they decided to take a march against the British. And they went to that British, and there was a DSP. He gave us such a the report or the piece of paper to that our DSP, and they written only while saying the Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, everything. They came back. The speciality of that march was that there was a no shout, no slogan. It was a speciality of that of the march. The student marched to barricade gates to give the notice to that DSP. There is going to search in your house. After that, what happened? One person came. That's a Sub Inspector Patil. Who was a Sub Inspector Patil? That is friend of our teacher. And he came. And what happened? The cyclostyling machine was there in their house. And that cyclostyling machine was in their house. The youths to making the copies of Mahatma Gandhi's speech. The police explained about the march to proceed about to be violent. They kept the cyclostyling machine in a puja room. And then what happened the sub-inspector came to his house and they informed that maybe, yes, the cyclostyling machine was in your house. He told such information was given. The Mohan was also, was not ready at first to give that cyclo machine to the sub-inspector. But his mother gave handed over cyclostyling machine to the sub-inspector party. Such a information is little bit outline of the story. And on that on that lesson, there are so many questions they will ask. Maybe why had the students marching? How was it an unusual march? They will ask. Or Babu and Manju were a bit disappointed with the way students were marching. What was the reason? They will ask. Then what had the police expected about the way to protest? Another question is very important. That question is repeated again and again. What was there in the mysterious parcel? What suspicion did the police have about that? Such are the questions they will ask in your examination, so that's why we concentrate on it. Next question is that there is a great martyr ever cherished, which is written by Neha Mathur and T.C. Koshi. Here the present lesson tells us the life history of Hanipuddin. Hanipuddin was died at the age of 25 years old. Hanipuddin sacrificed his life for our country. He became a lieutenant at the age of 25 years old. So the life history was given in our lesson. You can read that. He joined the 11 Rajputana Rifles Army. Then the year life history of that Hanipuddin. Hanipuddin was a student of Kerala in New Delhi and had applied the army when he was a graduate from Shivaji College in New Delhi. His mother, Emma Aziz, always supported to Hanipuddin. At the age of 80 years old, Hanipuddin lost his father. Everything is mentioned in it. And now here we concentrate on the important question regarding to our lesson. Lesson's name is that a great martyr ever cherished. Like that, life for Hanif in the beginning was a never smooth sail. Why was it so? They will ask. Or how does the writer describe the introvert Hanif? Or they will ask the questions on it. The life is here. What did Hanif choose as his mission? They will ask the questions. Or another question was a very important to you. Hanif was a young man with varied talents and the interest. Varied and talent with the interest. They will ask such a question. So you can read that the questions carefully. And now here we turn to the last lesson. Lessons name is that on top of the world. This lesson is given by Dicky Dolman. The present lesson tells us about the life history of Dicky Dolman, who was climbing Mount Everest, which is the highest peaks in the world, on 10th May 1993 and became the youngest woman in the world at the age of 19 years old. She was born and brought up in a Palchan. Where is a Palchan? Palchan is in Himachal Pradesh. From the beginning, she had expressed the hardship of life. She faced so many problems in her life. At the age of the 11 years old, she lost her mother, and after that, she lost her elder brother also. She had such the good qualities like the one-track mind, dedication, devotions, determination. Everything she had, and at last she climbed that the Mount Everest, which is uh, highest peak in the world, on 10th May 1993, and she became the youngest woman in the world to achieve that awesome feat of scaling the world's highest peak. Such the life history of the Vicky Dolma, which is mentioned in our lesson on top of the world. Now here, some questions are very important for you. Like that, how has Vicky Dolma described her preparedness for the task of scaling the Mount Everest? They will ask very questions on it, so that's why you can prepare. Next question is that uh, with zeal and determination, there is nothing that one cannot achieve. What else do you think are necessary to achieve the beside the zeal and determination? Settle the questions also. Or you say like that, how can you say that? Uh, or not how can you say that, but here, write a brief note on adventurous story of Dicky Dolma. They will ask such the questions. There are so many questions are there, so you should prepare uh, in your own way about that. And now here we are going to discuss about that the some grammatical units as well as that is your composition section. Now we are going to discuss. Now here we turn to or we turn to the blackboard, and we are going to learn some topics about that uh, grammar, and after that we are going to discuss about the compositions. Okay, now we turn to the grammar section. Now we are going to discuss the first topic, that's a question tag. Question tag is a 1 mark question. Question tag is also known as a 10 questions. It's a very simple questions. We get 1 mark. I will give some example here. Purnima met her friend at Mysore. And in your examination, they'll ask maybe the multiple questions. They'll ask either multiple choice questions or the dual method. What it may be, they will ask. Definitely they will ask the question. The example is here: the Purnima met her friend at Mysore. Purnima met her friend at Mysore. How can we solve the questions? The instruction they will give: add question tag. What is the answer? The answer is that you can write the sentence as it is. You can write that sentence as it is at first. This what is here? Purnima met her friend at Mysore. After that, what we do? Next, from this comma, our question tag begins. From this comma, our question tag begins. First, we want that's the auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb. What is auxiliary verb? Auxiliary verb is also known as LPV. Already you have learned that there's so many auxiliary verbs like to be, like to have, or do's, or that's a modal auxiliary verbs. We have learned that. What are the to be verbs? Like am, is, are, was, were, shall be, and will be. All are the to be verbs. Next, to have verbs. What are the to have verbs? Have, has, have, shall have, or will have. Next, that's a do, does, did. And next modal auxiliary verbs like may, might, can, could, will, would, shall, should, dare, did, ought to, used to, dare. All are the auxiliary verbs. Here, the first element we want, that's the auxiliary verbs. So here, you go to your sentence. You go to your sentence and you should find out the auxiliary verb. Who is the auxiliary verb in this sentence? You read carefully this sentence. Purnima met her friend at Mysore. In this sentence, there is no any auxiliary verb. There is no am, is, are, was, were, shall be, will be. There is no auxiliary verb. Or there is a have, has, had, shall have, will have. There is no auxiliary verb. Or that's a do, does, did, so. Or may, might, can, could, will, shall, should, do. There is no any auxiliary verb in this sentence. But what happened? We want there is a auxiliary verb. But in this sentence there is no auxiliary verb. But we want here auxiliary verb. What we do? Now here, if there is no auxiliary verb in this sentence, but we have auxiliary verb, what we do? We take the do's form. What are the do's forms? Do, does, and did. Do, does, and did. All are that's a do's form. Do's form always help you. Do and does shows us which tense, present tense. Did shows us which tense, there is a past tense. So here you go to the sentence and you should find out the particular tense mentioned in this sentence. Which type of tense is mentioned in it? Here you should Purnima met her friend. Means the word met shows us past tense of meet is not met. Means the word met shows us that is the past tense. And so that's why we take the reason did. We take the did. Then next element, we take that there's a negative form. Not means we put it in bracket. That's not. Why put in a bracket not? Here we try to understand. If the sentence shows us positive or in affirmative, this hokararthi like that. This if the sentence shows us hokararthi or positive, yes, your question tag makes a negative. Reverse. If the sentence shows us that's a negative, yes, you make a your question tag positive. So that's why now I'm going to find out is it positive or the negative. Purnima met her atmosphere. This sentence was just positive. Why? Because in this sentence there is no negative words like none, no, never, no, not. There is no any. That's a negative word. So that's why now we are going to make a. You see, you see, there is a no negative. So that's why now we are going to make a negative. This sentence shows a positive. This sentence shows a positive, and now I am going to make a negative. And so here we take the not. This is a contract form we take, short form. Short form will take that's a contract form. This D plus not is equal to D done. D plus not is equal to D done will take, and then here next element we want that is a subject. The subject we can write always in the form of that's a pronoun. Subject always will get in the form of the pronoun. The subject, which is the subject in this sentence? The subject is the pronoun. Subject is a pronoun, so that's why we take that the subject. Not we cannot take as it is pronoun. But now we convert into pronoun. What is the pronoun for pronoun? The pronoun like that, we know the pronoun. I, we, you, he, she, it, or they. Just all of that pronoun, we take that pronoun or that the this pronoun. So here, now we take what is the pronoun for pronoun? That's a she. That's a she. And at the end of this, just we take that, there is a question mark. That's a question mark. This year, the Purnima met her friend at Mysore. Didn't she? Didn't she? That's one. Such the questions. Please that's a add question. So that here, you take that's a formula. That formula is a very important. First, you should find out the interval. If the sentence shows positive, your question that's negative, and you take. If there is a necessary, you take the not. If there is not necessary, you keep as it is. You should keep as it is. Then the subject, if the subject shows us a noun, we convert it to pronoun. If there is a pronoun, suppose that she made aeroplane. Yes, here we want the subject. Subject is the pronoun. Yes, okay, pronoun. Yes, the he is a pronoun. We take that the pronoun as it is. So here, this depends on the that's noun. We convert into pronoun. And last one is that let's create the question mark. We don't convert the question mark. There is only the questions. It is a one example of the question. Now we come to the next question. Next question, that's a language function. Yes. Next question, I write that's a language function. I'll take that's a language function. Language function here. I'll write here Rohan, why are you sad? Rashmi said, I have lost my property in the flood. And Rohan said that don't worry, everything will be alright. And this is the underline. And then we give four language function giving direction. Number 2, aggressive. Number 3, sympathize. And number 4, that's a suggestion. Here we try to understand the language function here. They will give such a small dialogue between two characters. Here, like here, I present one example, dialogue between Ram and Rashmi. So Ron said that, why are you sad? Why are you sad? Rashmi said, I have lost my property in the flood. Then Ron said that, don't worry, everything will be alright. Just don't worry, everything will be alright. And other underlying words, you can find out that the language function, that language functions are mentioned in the definitely multiple choice question to ask. Definitely multiple choice question. So here, just don't worry, everything will be alright. This line shows us this type of language function. Giving direction, requesting, sympathize, or better, suggesting. What is the answer? Correct answer is yes, don't worry, everything will be alright. It means that yes, now we show sympathizing. We want to show the sympathize by saying, don't worry, everything will be alright. This here you can read that. You can read the dialogue properly. Properly you will get automatically just the language question. In a particular tone, in a particular mood, you can speak like that. Yes, why are you sad? You can be like that. Why are you sad? Just he said that. Yes, I have lost my property in the flood. He said that, don't worry, it will be alright. You can read such a way, you will get automatically. That's a language function. It's a very simple task. You will get the basic grammar. So now here we come to the next grammatical unit, that is a to infinitive. That's a to infinitive. To infinitive. To infinitive, I will present that as an example here. I like to collect different pictures. Or another example I put, I advise him to study hard. Here, to infinitive means what? Here we go. How can we solve this question? It's a simple questions, very simple questions. How can we identify? You try to answer. Here, to infinitive means you read across the sentence, particular sentence. For example, I will present here. Two examples are presented here. The first one is that I like to collect the different pictures. And second example I will present here. I advise you to study hard. There are the two pictures, two examples are presented here. To infinitive means what? You go to the two. First sentence. What is the first sentence? Now we are going to concentrate on first sentence. I like to collect the different pictures. You go there. Where is the two? You go there. Yes, that's not two. Yes, you go there. Where is the two? Two. Two is here. Okay. But after two, we want that some main verb. What is this? You try to understand. Main verb must be there after two. After two, main verb must be there. This concept is known as a to infinitive. Nothing but it. Second example, I advise him to study hard. Second example is that I advise him to study hard. Where is a two? Yes, two is a two. But after to study what it is, this is the main word. So this it is known as a two infinitive class. Third one I will present here. I would like to go to school. I would like to go to school. Here I will present another example. I would like to go to school. Here there is a two. Yes, here also two. Another two. Here also another two. But my question is that after two, main verb must be there. After two, main verb must be there. After two, here you see go is the main verb, no problem. But after two, school is a go, no. School is a noun. School is a noun. So that's why this concept is not a two infinitive, but this concept is a two infinitive. Means after two, main verb must be there. After two, main verb must be there. This concept is known as a two infinitive concept. Yes, two infinitive construction or two infinitive concept. Yes, we can say like that. So here, this is a two infinitive question we have. You will get that one. Okay. Now here we turn to the next question. A remote tool. Yes, that's question very important. A remote tool. A remote tool. A remote tool means yes, use so that. Both are interrelated questions. Both are interrelated questions. Remote tool means use so that. Both are interrelated questions. Suppose that here, we try to understand this. Suppose I put one example. The stone was too heavy to carry. And then ask, remove the means Bajula elements to separate. Yes. Cardinal elements. To remove cardinal elements. Yes. The remove to means that two. Here, use so that. The last one question. What? Use so that. Or questions. Yes, that's all questions. Remove to. That question is very important. So here, remote to means that question. Which question here we can understand. How can we write that? Remote to means use so that. Keep it in your mind. Here, you write the subject as it is. The store was. The store was to T double O, two is there. Instead of two, you can use the so. So we write here, that's a so. Then you can write that's a heavy. Another two is that instead of two, you can use the that. So here you can. Next one is a remain here carry. How can we write? After that, we take one thing here. Subject means karta. Yes. Subject plus either can, not, or could not. Subject, you see, the stone was so heavy that next part we'll take. Next part is that is a, what is the next part we'll take? That's a subject. Who's the subject? In this sentence, the stone, but we take the pronoun we take. Which is the subject? Stone is there. Stone is there. But what is the pronoun for the stone? That is a it. That is a it. So here we take the it. After that, cannot or could not. Cannot show the present tense, could not show the past tense. So here we are going to find out this sentence is in a present tense or past tense. The stone was so heavy, means the word was shows us that. And so here we take the not, cannot, could not. And after that, you write the main word. What is the main word? The remaining part is that's a yeah. What is the answer? The stone was so heavy that he could not carry. He could not carry. This is the so that questions. So that the questions. Now here another questions I will present here. Another the question or that so that I will present here. Another questions I will present. The waiter was too busy to attend to new customer. Here, answer. We take that as a so. We take that as a sorry that. How can we? Yes, the waiter was so busy that. Remaining part is that attend new customers. How can we write? First one we want the subject. Subject we want. What is the subject? We go to that sentence. The waiter. Maybe after that either cannot or could not. Either cannot or could not. After he, we get the subject is the yes, we got cannot or could not. Cannot show the present tense, could not show the past tense. So that's why now I'm going to find out the circumstances. Here in this sentence, what is sentence? The waiter was so busy like this. Or the waiter was so busy. In this sentence, the was is there, so that's why we take that the could not. Yes. And then after could not, we take the next part, remaining part, that's a main verb. This to attend, this attend. Attend new customers. Like this. This will take the known as teacher. You can write in your examinations. Now I will present that's a it plus. It plus it plus here if I had brought my camera, I dash dash I took the brush. If clause is known as conditional clause, and then give like that will or be, that's a mood. C, that's a, we have or D, that's a we have. Here use that's a options which is mentioned in it. In clause it's known as conditional clause. If I had brought my camera here, we'll take the we have. Why? Because we want to get a percentage. In this clause there are the two sentences. First sentence is that if I had brought my camera, up to comma. This is the first sentence. Second sentence is that I dash dash took some photos or photographs. That's one. Why would you take that as a would have or that's a would have? Because in the first sentence we get the tense. Which type of tense? That's a perfect past tense. What is this? Perfect past. What is the perfect? Had brought. It shows had brought. If the perfect tense shows us, we take that's a would plus would plus definitely. Here the same questions will come in your exams. They will ask questions regarding to the perfect past. In the sentence number 1, yes, we get the perfect past. Definitely in the next blank, you can write the would plus have. Would plus have. So the questions you can fill up. And that question is also known as a if clause. Yes, if clause. Some grammar parts are there because the time is more. Yes, I have taken. So that's a little bit. Within a 5 or 10 minutes, I will discuss about some remaining grammar, and then we will conclude our session. Next one is that's a collocative words. They will ask in your examination. That's a collocative words like that's a common, or the in A side they will give common, or B side they will give the book, science, or work of Philip. The correct word is that's a common sense. Such a words they will ask the collocative words. Sometimes they will ask that's a form of the word also, form of the verb also they will ask. Then identify the parts of speech. Identify the parts of speech. You know that there are the 8 parts of speech: noun, pronoun, verb, adverb. Yes, they will underline to that the words, and you can use that's a particular parts of speech. Then the conjunctions or linkers you can use. That's a linkers or conjunction. Then the prepositions also they will ask. There's so many prepositions are there on in. That's a down, up, that's a near, towards, to, over, between, since, among. So many the prepositions are there. You can fill up that preposition. Then use a word as a verb or noun. Suppose they will give the book like that. I gave him a book. Suppose the noun they can use. I gave him a book. Suppose they will say that you use the word book as a verb. How can I will create that sentence? I booked the ticket. I booked the ticket means such are the questions you have. Use the word as a verb or the noun. Next, edit the paragraph. They will ask one paragraph, small paragraph, and they will give some clues like a verbal mistake to be corrected, spelling mistake to be corrected, or punctuation marks to be used, or the singular form to be used, plural form to be used, capital letter to be used, apostrophe sign to be used. So many of the questions are there. Next, degrees of comparison. Maybe they will ask one degree, uh, maybe superlative degree, maybe or comparative degree. We can change into another degrees. They will ask like that. Syllabifications, you know that How can we find out the syllabic in school? It is a depends on the pronunciation like that. School. One vowel is equal to one syllable. One vowel is equal to one syllable. So that's a syllabic question. One syllable you can should find out. Two syllable words should you find out. Such are the questions they will ask in your examination like that. That syllabic questions you go like you go one word for sentence also you can read. You go to the glossary and you can read the one word for sentence like a person who enters a building in order to steal. What is this? That's a burglar. One who is just trained in doing acts of public service. What is this? That is a scout. One who travels to workplace daily is known as a commuters. A piece of land in which fruits trees are grown. What is this? Orchard. A great performer, especially a musician, maestro. Such are the questions they will ask in your examination. So that's why you should read that the glossary also for one word per sentence. Active voice or passive voice also they will give, definitely they will give. Direct indirect speech also they will give. Intro, that's is all. Then the some, that's a profile writing. That's a, that's the composition of profile writing. How can we the beginning of the profile writing? The present profile is about about dash Mr. Patil or Mr. Ganesh. His age is 50 years old. His profession is a engineer. According to that profile, his working place or he's working in a national or aeronautics laboratory. His qualification is like that. Such are the questions you can you make a, that's a the paragraph. Yes, you will get the, but you can touch to all questions, even profile writing or story writing, picture description, unseen passage or essay writing, what letter writing, what it may be. You can touch that the questions you will get minimum 1 marks. So that's why don't let that the questions will very supportive. It will be supported questions. So that's why yes you can prepare like that. Picture also picture. They'll give one picture and the given picture is about, you can write like that. The story writing is also about that. You story writing, story is always in the past. You can use the simple past or the perfect past, or not perfect but a continuous past you can use. The more sentences are continuous past as well as the simple past you can use in your that questions. Yes, story writing. Some hints are given, and with the help of that hints, but it must be you can touch that the question. It's compulsory. Next one is that that's a unseen passage. You read the appropriately that unseen passage, and under the unseen passage there is questions, either 4 questions, either 2 questions. Each question has a 2 questions. Suppose each question has 2 marks. Total 4 mark questions in passage. Next, the essays. Yes, most important thing is that you can prepare that COVID-19 or symptoms of a COVID, precautions of that COVID. They will ask COVID-19. They will ask that questions. Or online education, maybe they will ask that questions. Or pollution, environmental pollutions, maybe they will ask that's ban on plastic or national symbols, national festivals, or that's a importance of keeping our surroundings or personal hygiene also you can concentrate on that. But I think my guess is that that's a COVID-19 they will ask, so that's why you concentrate on that the COVID-19 also. Yes, such are the questions you have. I will give some instructions while writing that the question paper in your answer sheet. Time, yes, already we know that 80-mark question paper is there. 3 hours you will get. The time management must be there. Time management is very important for you. Each questions you give that particular time and you can write. And you reserve 5 to 10 minutes for checking that questions answer after writing all the questions answers. Then the right questions answers neatly, correctly you can write. Constructionally you can write, yes, subject, verb, object like that. You can write properly. Handwriting should be, yes, beautiful. Your handwriting is also very important because the evaluator will give that marks for that your handwriting also. Write a question number. Write a proper question number on your answer sheet. Don't forget that the question number. At first, you can write if you write the question properly. Question A1, A or one second two like that, or question one, question two, 3, 4 like that. Such are the questions. What means number has a given. Yes, you can write that same question number in your answers. Don't use that's what whitener. Don't use the whitener in your examination. Don't use the another pen. Yes, the color pen like that. Yes, don't use in your examination. Yes, so I will give once again best compliments for your coming tomorrow's exam. Yes, thank you very much.